All right, so this lesson focuses on slope-intercept form. We're going to do a little bit of work here, just reviewing how to find slope. Then we'll kind of get into slope-intercept form with the last half of the notes. So there's two different ways we can find slope. We can find slope from a graph, or we can find slope from just two given ordered pairs. Finding slope from a graph is really pretty easy. You just kind of count your rise and count your run. When you have two ordered pairs that are given to you, then that is when you're going to probably use this formula that's up here. And all this means is use your second y minus your first y over your second x minus your first x. The important part is realizing that the y's are on top because that's where our rise comes from, right? Y values are counted up and down on our graph. The run is on bottom, so the left and right values are the ones that show up on bottom. Those would be our x values, okay? One of the most challenging parts when somebody is trying to find the slope of a line from a graph is knowing if it's positive or negative. We have to make sure, looking here, I always tell my kids, read it like a book. So you read a book going left to right, left to right. So if going left to right, this line is going up, it's going to be a positive slope. If going left to right, this line is going down, it's going to be a negative slope. Okay. A zero just means, think about if you were going to put a car on it. If you put a car on it and put it in neutral, you're going to go 0 miles per hour on a slope of 0. If you put a car on this line and you put it in neutral, that's going to be bad, right? It's going to crash and burn. It's undefined. Okay, so that's kind of a easy way to remember 0 and undefined. Okay. All right, so let's get into 1 and 2. So describe the slope of the line. I just want to tell what sign it's going to be. So moving left to right, it's going up. So this is going to be a positive slope, okay? And then I'm going to count my rise. So rise 1. So let me just draw my triangle here. That's my triangle, right? So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over my run is over 1, 2, 3. And I know it's positive, so I keep that sign on it. And I go ahead and reduce. So 6 divided by 3 gives me a final slope of 2. And remember, m is always the number that we use for slope. Okay, number 2, going from left to right, I see it's going down, so I know this is going to be negative. And so I want to make my triangle and count it. So down 1, 2. So that's negative 2, right? Anytime we go down, that's negative. And I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So double check yourself. Make sure you know your slope should be negative, right? We already defined that. This number is going to be negative, right? So we can go ahead and reduce. So 2 and 4 are both divisible by 2. So negative 2 divided by 2 on top is negative 1. 4 divided by 2 on bottom is 2. So make sure we pay attention to this. Remember, when you're reducing fractions, if your bigger number is on top, like we had in the first scenario, 6 divided by 3 is 2. It's really tempting to say that this is 2 as well. But remember, the bigger number is on bottom. That's going to result in a fraction, even after we reduce it. Okay? So we get an m of negative 1/2 there. All right, go ahead and try. Let's just do 3 and 4. Okay? So go ahead and do 3 and 4, and then you can play the video. Okay, 3. Is going down, so I know that's going to be negative. And then I go ahead and count my rise and my run. So down 2 is negative 2 over run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I double check my sign. It is negative. I see if I can reduce. Nothing's going to divide into 2 and 5, so I just say that's my final answer. M equals negative 2/5. Looking at number 4, going from left to right is going up, so I know it's going to be positive. Okay, let's count my rise and my run. So up 1, 2, 3, 4. Over run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is positive. I want to go ahead and reduce it. 4 and 6 are both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I get a positive 2/3 for my slope there. Okay. All right, let's look at the back when we're using ordered pairs. All right, so if I don't have a graph and I have just ordered pairs, remember I'm going to have to use my formula. So let's rewrite that up here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so remember this is x, y, x, y. Okay, so then I do m equals my suggestion to you is always to put your fraction bar in two minus signs. Okay, so that you don't mess up your signs, because that's the thing that happens the most here. Fraction bar, two minus signs to start off with. Then all you have to do is just plug. So second y is 4, first y is 5, and then on bottom second x is 1, first x is 5. So 4 minus 5 on top is negative 1. 1 minus 5 on bottom is negative 4. The negatives are going to cancel. I can't reduce 1 over 4 at all, so it's 1/4. Okay, number 7, m equals fraction bar, two minus signs. Second y is 7, first y is 2. Second x is negative 3. First x is negative 2. And this is when I would really struggle to keep my signs straight if I didn't do fraction bar and minus signs first. Okay, because now on bottom I have negative 3 minus a negative 2. And if you remember minus a negative, that's going to turn to plus a positive. So on top, 7 minus 2 is 5. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 on bottom. So 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5 for my final answer. All right, let's go ahead and try, just do 8 and 9. Okay, so pause the video, do 8 and 9, and then you can play the video when you're ready. All right, so number 8, m equals fraction bar, two minus signs. Negative 3 and negative 1, 4 and 7. So on top I have that minus a negative. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. 4 minus 7 on bottom is negative 3. The only thing that's going to happen there are my negatives are going to cancel, so I'm just left with a positive 2/3. On number 9, I have fraction bar, two minus signs. 6 and negative 1. On bottom, negative 2 and 7. So on top, 6 minus a negative 1 changes to plus a positive. So 6 plus 1 is 7. On bottom, negative 2 and negative 7 makes negative 9. There's nothing I can reduce. There's only a single negative in there, so that's going to stay as is. All right, so you have your review on slope. Let's go ahead and look at slope-intercept form. Okay, so slope-intercept form here. Remember, it's y equals mx plus b. This stuff up here is important to you. M is the slope. B is the y-intercept. The important part here, m has to be next to x. B has to be by itself. So it doesn't matter what's first and second. It matters what's next to x and what's not. Okay? All right, so let's look at number 12 and just get off running here. Okay? So my number that's next to x is 2. I like fractions for my slope, so I always make that slope a fraction by just putting it over 1. Okay, so I'm going to transfer this down. 2 over 1 is my slope. B is my number all by itself. That's just 1. Okay, now this is when you're going to want to utilize one of my favorite phrases. B is where you begin. Okay, and then the second part to that is M is where you move. Okay, so B is where you begin, and remember that's the y-intercept, so it's where it crosses my y-axis right here at 1, and then M is where you move. Remember, your top number is rise, your bottom number is run. So rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. You can also go the opposite direction and go down 2 and left 1. Right? Down 2 and left 1. That would be my opposite direction. Okay, so there's my number 12 line. Let's look at lucky number 13. Remember, the number next to x is my slope, so negative 2 over 3. And the number all by itself is my b, that's 8. So b is where you begin. So I'm going to start on my y-axis at 8. And m is where you move. So that's telling me, since the top number is negative, that's telling me to go down 2 over 1, 2, 3. Down 2 over 1, 2, 3. down 2 over 1, 2, 3. You could also go the opposite direction, up 2 and left 1, 2, 3. Okay. And remember, always remember the trick. Read it like a book. I know that my slope right here is negative. Remember, you should remember that a negative slope tells me to go down, moving left or right. So you can always check your sign there. Okay, so there's a couple examples. Go ahead and pause the video, scroll to the next page, try those 4 problems there, and then when you're ready, go ahead and play the video. Okay, so number 14, my slope is a number next to x, that's 3/4. My number by itself is -7, that's my b. B is where you begin, so -7, you're going to go down on the y-axis to -7. And then 3/4 tells me to go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that one. Okay, number 15, my slope next to x is -3. Remember, I like to see them as fractions because that gives me a rise and my run, so I put -3 over 1 for my slope. B is a number by itself, that's a +3. So B is where you begin at +3. And then my slope of -3 over 1 tells me to go down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. You can also go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 1 if you want to go the opposite direction. Okay, so there's 15. Let's look at 16 and 17. So 16, my slope next to x is 4, so I'm going to make it 4 over 1. My y-intercept is -5, so I start down 5 on the y-axis. Slope of +4 over 1 is up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. There's my line. And last but not least, number 17, my slope next to x is -1/4. My number by itself is -2. So I want to start down 2 on the y-axis. And then I'm going to go down 1 more over 1, 2, 3, 4 for a -1/4 slope. Down 1 more over 1, 2, 3, 4. Can also, if I want another point, go up 1 and left 1, 2, 3, 4. Generally, guys, I get the question a lot, how many points do you want me to have on the graph? Generally speaking, 3 is usually pretty good. If you want to get 4 on there, 4 or 5 is even better, but 3 is usually pretty good, okay? All right, so you are ready for your 6.2 practice.